Center forecast calls for Imelda strengthening into a hurricane as it passes between the northern Bahamas and the southeastern U.S. coast Monday night and Tuesday. The forecast becomes complex as the system nears South Carolina on Tuesday. Due to its slower movement, which currently Tropical Depression 9 will become more influenced by Hurricane Umberto, a stronger system to the east. The interaction is expected to cause the system to slow down or even briefly stall off the South Carolina coast. How close it gets is still to be determined, and that's going to determine the impact certainly. But we do expect it to slow or stall near the South Carolina coast and then turn east into the Atlantic away from the United States. While less likely, there is still a concern for a South Carolina landfall with some model support for this scenario. So we're still monitoring that potential, and we need people to remain vigilant. Impacts from the wind will be highly track dependent, so residents and visitors along the coast should prepare for tropical storm force winds and even the possibility of hurricane force winds if the system were to track closer to the coast or move inland. Rainfall is expected to be one of the more significant impacts from the system. Scattered to numerous showers and thunderstorms associated with a stalled front could produce locally heavy rainfall through the weekend. Heavier rain bands associated with Tropical Depression 9 could then impact the state Monday through Tuesday night and potentially later into the week if the storm slows down. Latest rainfall forecast shows 6 to 12 inches of rain across the eastern part of the state through the week, with locally higher amounts possible, leading to a significant inland flood threat. We are more confident that the storm will produce impacts along the coast, including significant beach erosion, high surf, and dangerous rip currents. Storm surge flooding is also a concern, especially for vulnerable low-lying coastal locations, even if landfall does not occur. We ask that you please continue to monitor the latest forecast from the National Weather Service and the National Hurricane Center at weather.gov. Thank you.
Thank you, John Farrello. Director Kim Stinson, Emergency Management Division.
Yes, Kim Stinson, EMD. As this storm approaches South Carolina with probable flood, surge, and wind impacts, it's not just a coastal event. It's a full state of South Carolina event because we can have wind and rain throughout the state based on the impact of the storm. And we've got many areas that are vulnerable to flooding from our coastal communities back to the inland rivers. Certainly can bring some heavy rainfall that overwhelms our drainage systems and leading to flash floods, especially in the urban areas, which can happen with little or no warning. So if you live in a flood-prone area or a low-lying area, identify higher ground now that you might be able to seek that safety if it's needed. And just a reminder that flooding is the #1 cause of fatalities in tropical storms. And as the governor said, just a little bit of rain, water on the ground can knock somebody over, or also a couple of feet can move a car. And that's happened before. So obviously never driving through those flooded roads. Don't wait until it's too late. If your local authorities encourage you to evacuate selected areas, then you should do that. And there'll be shelters that are opened up for people to go to if they want to seek those shelters. But it's very important to follow the instructions of your local officials, extremely important. Certainly, it's important for all of us to have an emergency plan in place for whatever disaster situation it might impact. And this situation is no different. We all need to be our own emergency managers. So residents should review their safety plans and consider actions taken in advance of the storm. And the governor's already talked about some of these, but certainly having enough bottled water and non-perishable food to sustain the family for at least 3 days. Having the weather radio and the flashlight, extra batteries and chargers, and knowing where your important documents are, as the governor said, such as your birth certificates and insurance policies, in the event that you have to evacuate your home. And then we've already talked about staying tuned to the local media to get the latest advisories from the National Weather Service and the National Hurricane Center, and again, following those trusted, verified sources for the latest news, and be prepared to follow those instructions. So to help with the planning, we've got a couple of tools that we can let you access, obviously, for individuals, families, and businesses. And our South Carolina Emergency Manager app It's downloadable through Google and Apple, and it's even got a component in there to create your own personal plan, keep track of your supplies, medications, and important numbers. So, and we also have our website at scemd.org, which has also a wealth of information to get you prepared. From an operational perspective here, we're taking several actions. The State Emergency Operations Center has been activated and is operational to coordinate the state response to this event. We started conducting county coordination calls earlier this week to identify any issues or unmet needs. Our logistics system has been activated to assist local authorities, and that system has been validated extensively over the last several years and the numerous events that we've had. We currently have requests in right now ranging from sandbags to swiftwater rescue teams, and those are being actioned. And as the governor said, as a final note, Team South Carolina has a lot of experience in the last 11 years, I guess, at least, preparing for, responding to, and recovering for hurricanes and tropical storms. So that experience remains our greatest strength in moving forward. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Stinson. Major General Jeff Jones, National Guard.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. Major General Jeff Jones, State Deputy Adjutant General. The men and women of the South Carolina Army National Guard, Air National Guard, and the State Guard are prepared and currently positioning to support any request from any agency statewide. Our liaisons have made contact with and are reporting to requested emergency operations centers. There, they will communicate and collaborate with any agency that is requesting support from us. We are mobilizing 150 guardsmen who will man 30 high water vehicles and perform general purpose support. They will be on station tomorrow morning, ready to perform their missions. In addition, we have 81 high water vehicles in reserve should they be requested. Other capabilities that we have are on standby if needed include aviation support, law enforcement support, any general purpose support, and logistical support. The South Carolina State Guard, under the command of Major General Leon Lott, stand ready to respond, particularly with debris clearing, engineering support if they need it, and also general purpose support. To date, we have received 7 missions assignments from supporting agencies. We are ready to meet those missions and any more that come our way. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, General. Secretary Justin Powell, Department of Transportation.
Thank you, Governor. The South Carolina Department of Transportation is actively preparing for the impacts from Tropical Depression 9. For the past 2 days, crews in our coastal counties have been preparing equipment and have been addressing known drainage hotspots. We've also been pre-positioning equipment in locations that we historically know we have challenges with during tropical weather. Those activities are continuing today in anticipation of storm conditions early next week. We ask the public to slow down, move over, and make space for road crews that'll be out in the coming days ahead of the storm. We are ready to go to 24-hour operations as the storm arrives early next week. We're also preparing to deploy 10 assistance crews from the upstate and Midlands to the coast on Monday to bolster our personnel there. SCDOT stands ready to respond and encourages the public to be ready to respond as well. Please rely on official information sources like our 511 SC app that you can get real-time traffic information and can be downloaded on the Apple and Google stores. Thank you, Governor.
Thanks, Secretary Powell. State Fire Marshal Jonathan Jones.
Thank you, Governor. LLR's State Fire Division continues to staff the Emergency Support Function 4 and 9, supporting resource requests with search and rescue teams, including swiftwater and floodwater rescue teams. Our Palmetto Incident Support Team, which provides command and control and coordination for search and rescue statewide, was activated effective noon today, and will continue to coordinate search and rescue and mission resource requests throughout this incident. We've already been working with FEMA, who will be sending 2 urban search and rescue task forces with water rescue capabilities to stage here in Columbia on federal operations support status beginning tomorrow. In addition, FEMA is sending their search and rescue incident support team to co-locate with ours here in Columbia to help bolster command and control and resource coordination should we utilize any federal resources. The 6 urban search and rescue teams that make up the emergency response task force system here in South Carolina, as well as South Carolina's helicopter aquatic rescue team, have been rostered and stand ready to respond. 3 of those teams will be located in their local jurisdictions in Myrtle Beach, Charleston, and Hilton Head Bluffton area for local response. The remaining teams, including South Carolina Task Force 1 and our South Carolina Helicopter Aquatic Rescue Team, which is a partner with the National Guard Aviation, are available to respond to resource requests and missions throughout the state. I do want to offer a couple of safety tips if we do lose power. Although one of the leading causes to deaths in a tropical system certainly is floodwaters, post-power outage, it often is carbon monoxide poisoning and related to generator safety. So I encourage you to never run a generator inside your home. If you're using a portable generator, have battery operated or backup carbon monoxide alarms in your home. Don't overload a generator, and before refueling, make sure you shut the generator down and allow it to cool. Keep a generator at least 20 feet from doors, windows, and eaves where those fumes can make their way into the home, and never use a generator in an attached garage. You already heard it mentioned about floodwater safety. When it comes to flash flooding, a citizen's first line of defense is awareness and avoiding floodwaters if at all possible. It's difficult to judge the depth and the speed of floodwaters, and you can easily be swept away in what may seem like shallow water. Also, assume that all floodwater is contaminated. You don't know what it is. You don't know about wildlife, reptiles, and vectors and ants and all those kinds of things that can be swept up in floodwater. So the best thing to do is avoid it altogether. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Director Robert Woods, Department of Public Safety.
Thank you, Governor. Rob Woods, South Carolina Department of Public Safety. DPS is prepared to begin response operations on Monday at 6 a.m. with 150 law enforcement personnel from the Highway Patrol, State Transport Police, SLED, SCDNR, and SCPPP assigned to the coastal areas of South Carolina. Our operational priorities are focused on addressing increased calls for service, which we typically see in these storms, such as more traffic collisions, disabled motorists, downed trees, blocked roadways, and so forth. We will operate on a 24-hour basis beginning on Monday through the course of the event. As has already been mentioned but can't be emphasized enough, to the public, please be reminded to avoid travel during hazardous weather, and particularly to avoid roadways that are blocked by downed trees, downed power lines, or that are flooded. Thank you, Governor.
Thanks, sir. Robert Woods. Myra Reese, Department of Environmental Services.
Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon. Myra Reese, Director, Department of Environmental Services. The Department of Environmental Services is continuing to work very closely with the Governor's Office and all of our fellow state agencies as South Carolina prepares for potential severe weather and heavy rainfall. We also are continuing to maintain great coordination and communication with our local emergency managers and officials who are doing an excellent job in preparing and also keeping their communities informed. Please make sure, you'll hear many of us keep reminding everyone to please make sure you continue to follow the recommendations of your local officials and stay informed with the weather. I heard someone yesterday say, instead of being weather worried, I'm going to be weather aware. And I think that just really signifies just the importance of staying informed and listening to your local officials. When there's a threat of heavy rainfall and severe weather, one of the first things that the Department of Environmental Services prioritize is a focus on our state-regulated dams. Yesterday, our staff proactively used our emergency notification system, it's called ReadyOp, to alert owners of regulated dams in the areas of the state that could receive the heaviest of rainfall, advising them that they take proactive steps to prepare their dams and minimize any impacts. Steps like clearing debris from the spillways, assessing the water levels to determine if lowering the level is needed to minimize those storm impacts and accommodate the incoming storm flows. Additionally, our dam safety staff have been in the field for several days and are out there today. Will continue through the weekend and will be assessing additional dams in areas that may be most impacted based on any shift in the current forecast data. I do want to point out that on our website we provide an interactive map of every state-regulated dam in the state at des.sc.gov/dams, and feel free to look at that interactive map. I think it's important also to point out that our dam safety team prepare for severe weather impacts way before hurricane season even begins. Back in May, we began a pre-seasonal boot camp of our state's regulated dams to have a current awareness of dam conditions throughout the state, having communications with our dam owners. This keeps us informed and prepares us for when severe weather that does threaten our state so that we can help dam owners take any necessary proactive measures. In preparing for any potential storm impacts along the coast, our Bureau of Coastal Management has prepared data for structures within our beachfront jurisdiction in case we need to deploy staff to perform post-storm damage assessments. And our coastal program has also prepared templates for issuing emergency orders and emergency general permits if it's needed that would allow for sandbagging and marine debris removal. If South Carolina is heavily impacted by these storms, we're prepared to perform many other critical activities, including the post-storm dam assessments, deploying mobile teams to severely impacted areas of the state, conducting post-storm aerial coastal assessments, and assisting with storm debris management. You can find all of this information on our website at des.sc.gov/storms. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. Chief SLED Mark Keel.
Mark Keel, Chief of SLED. ESF 13 SLED DNR Triple P will be assisting our partners at ESF 16 DPS in working traffic control points and line patrols beginning Monday, as Director Woods has stated. We will have an additional 15 personnel, both day and night shift, working in the Low Country region, Charleston, and also in the southern region. We'll have additional 20 people working in that region as well. All of ESF 13's aircraft are available upon request. We have 4 rotorcraft helicopters, and we have 2 fixed wing that belong to DNR. In addition, our SLED regional captains and myself will be in constant contact with all of our sheriffs and chiefs in these areas that are impacted to make sure that their communities have the necessary law enforcement personnel they may need to keep their communities safe. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Anyone have a question?
Governor, is DSS opening up any shelters?
I couldn't hear you.
Is DSS opening up any shelters?
There's the answer to that.
The answer is no, sir, not right now. And of course, the decision to open up shelters is made at the local level by county emergency management. At this time, none of our coastal counties have made the decision to open those shelters, but they are on standby.
Yeah. Another question?
When should we start expecting the rain to hit South Carolina?
John?
Well, there will already be some scattered numerous storms around throughout the weekend, and they're dumping some locally heavy rain already. We saw some of that overnight and earlier today. But the main rain bands associated with the tropical system should arrive on Monday and continue probably through most of Tuesday night. And if it's slow enough moving, then that heavy rainfall threat would be extended later into the week as well. So the brunt of the impacts from the storm expected most likely late Monday night, Tuesday into Tuesday night. We expect worse conditions.
More questions?
Governor, do we have any National Guard troops that are out of state that you need to recall back to the state to respond to this?
All of that, I'll let the general answer. The answer to that is no. We're in good shape. General?
Yes, sir. The governor is correct. We have none. However, we have established communication with the states that we do emergency compact support, and we are prepared, and they are prepared to do that support if needed. But at this time, as the governor said, we have none from out of state.
Are our troops out of state? Did they have to come back for any need to respond to this?
No, sir. No, sir. Our units who are in Washington, D.C. have returned home. Other units who are on mission on the southwest border will continue on mission. We have plenty of assets here to support anything that this storm will bring to us.
More questions?
Governor, you mentioned this week is the 1 year of Helene. Is there anything different that the state is doing in preparedness for the storm that you guys might have not done last year that can be different, potentially to be more beneficial?
We find new wrinkles every year. One, of course, was demonstrated with Helene is that, once again, it's totally unpredictable what's going to happen. Sometimes these storms will take a right angle turn just about overnight. That one, Helene, of course, was predicted to go roughly where it went, but it went to more to the east, 50 or 100 miles closer, farther away from Atlanta. It was supposed to go right through Atlanta, and it certainly didn't. And that was a new experience for a lot of people. It had a lot of damage that we'd not seen before, particularly all those pecan trees and the downed trees. I know Greenville, other places had it as well, but I mean, trees, big oak trees downtown, they're all on the ground. We don't usually see that. In Hugo, we had a lot of trees go down. That one went all the way, came through Charleston, came through Columbia, and went up to Charlotte and took down 100-year-old trees in downtown Charlotte. So what we learn every time is reinforced is that you never know where they're going to go. They don't tell us where they're going to go, and we can't predict. Anyone want to comment again on that further?
I would just say that we really didn't identify what we would call systemic failures of the system. But there's always, as the governor says, there's always areas that we can do better, sometimes in terms of sheltering and feeding. And then one lesson learned last year, and maybe Director Bates wants to talk about it, but I'll mention it, is that we found that we needed closer coordination between local authorities and the utilities. And as the governor mentioned, they had entangled debris and electric lines and wanted to make sure those lines were not live. And so that's actually taking place right now. There's some better coordination with that.
Comment?
Thank you, Director Stinson. One thing the governor says frequently is communication, collaboration, cooperation. So I don't know that that's necessarily new, but out of Helene, we really established some really strong communication, collaboration, and cooperation channels. And in fact, for the past week and a half, I've been talking with utility partners, and they're well prepared for the storm.
More questions?
Director Bates can stay up there. What kind of electric utilities are pre-positioning and where right now?
Sure. Right now, Dominion and Santee Cooper have assets that they're working to pre-position. I'm aware of just north of Beaufort and north of Charleston. It's Director Bateman, Joe.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. More questions?
Any anticipation for the schools? How are they going to operate? Is there going to be a local decision?
That typically is a local decision, yes. Because we don't know where this is going to go. Any more questions? Just one reminder, this storm is deadly serious, not just serious, but deadly serious. We lost 35 in Hugo, we lost 49 in Helene, and we've lost some in others, but it's deadly serious, and particularly with that water. You got to be careful. Water during a hurricane, during a storm, water is not your friend. So you got to be very careful. Thank you very much. We'll keep you updated.